The thread follows the needle. The thread follows the needle. To and fro the needle must go. The thread follows the needle. Hello, it's Susan Bruck with another sewing basic lesson, or basic sewing lesson. So today I'm going to show you how to sew on a button. There are three kinds of buttons that at least I find on most of my clothes. There's one like this. They're not usually quite so fancy, but it has 2 holes. There's one like this that has 4 holes. And there's one like this cute little daisy or whatever it is that has up 1 hole in the back. So just to keep it fairly simple, we're just going to do one, but this is probably the most complicated one to sew on. This is the 4-hole one, and I don't really have anything I need to sew it onto, but I'm just going to sew it onto this piece of felt. So, and I'm going to sew it with some red thread because usually you want to do something that matches, but just so you can see it better. And this is just a spool of regular old sewing thread that you get at any kind of fabric store. And sometimes, like if you go to a hotel or something and you get those little kits, sewing kits, those would have a thread that you could use too if you don't have a spool of thread. So one trick that my mom taught me is to use multiple strands of thread. I think she used like 5 or 6. I'm just going to use 2. I'm just trying to make them about the same length, so that'll be easier to use together. That's close enough. And then you want to use a pointy needle, a very pointy needle, and also you have to just make sure that it's nice if it has a bigger hole, a bigger hole at the end, because then you can put more strings through it. But again, it has to be able to fit through the holes in the button. So I have my 2 strings and I'm threading them, excuse me, and I am going to use this double because the more strands that you have, the more quickly the button will be sewed on. So I showed this last time, I'll show you again how to make a nifty little knot. So hold all the ends that you want to put into the knot against the needle up a little ways from the point of the needle, and then wrap the thread around like 3 or 4 times, and then I switch hands, but you could do it with either hand. So I'm holding all of the ends, and I'm pulling the needle through, and I don't know, it's not that big because it's thin thread, but it makes a nice little knot. So, okay, so here's where I want the button. Of course, for this, it doesn't have to go any place in particular, but you want to poke it through the back, and it's going through one of the holes. So when you have it in one of those holes, tip this down a little bit. When you have it through one of the holes, pull it through, and then, especially with the first one, you have to kind of, straighten the button around so it's where you want it. Then put it through another hole. Any of the other holes is fine. And pull it all the way through. And then you want to put it back through this hole. So basically I'm just going around 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in each of the holes in turn. And there's different patterns, but we're going to just start with one. So we poke it back up through hole number 3, I'm calling it, and then back down through the 4th hole. So I've done all of them one time, and this is what it looks like on the back. Doesn't really look like much. That's the ends of the thread, and this is the string. So then you just go around, and if you're not used to it, you have to kind of poke around a little bit maybe to find the hole to get it through. It's easier with these bigger buttons. So up and down, and then up in the 3rd hole. See, I'm just kind of poking it around till I get to the hole. And like that. And you want to do that a bunch of times to make sure that the button is really secure so it doesn't fall off too soon. And if you use multiple threads, that will happen faster. And then I just usually feel it, I pull on it a little bit. This one actually feels pretty secure. So usually when it feels secure, I do it one more time, just just to make the extra sure. So up, down, 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 up. And then when you're done sewing, you need, of course, to tie the ends. Sometimes, if I leave a little bit of a longer end, beginning end, I'll just tie them together in a square knot. But I didn't really leave a long enough one this time, so I'm going to do a little knot like I did in the last demonstration. So keep doing it behind the button and right where this is the last stitch, right where the last stitch came out. I just do a little in, a little through, in and out. Pull the thread through, but leave a loop. Can you see that loop? Yeah, see, leave a little loop and put the thread through the loop and pull. And then I'll go over, it doesn't have to be exact, but pretty much the same spot again. Pull the needle through. Leave a loop. And when it gets, you don't want to do this when it's too big because the thread tends to get tangled up if you do it. At least when I do it, it does. But before you pull it all the way, put the needle through the center of that loop and pull it tight. And that's it. Ta-da! Oh, well, almost it. You have to cut the thread. So that's how you sew on a button. This is a good way to sew on a button with 4 holes, and it's easy when you know how. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you soon. I hope next time I'm going to demonstrate the blanket stitch and use it to make a beanbag. So see you then. Let me know if you have any questions, or if it's too hard to see, I can try and do it again for you or take some photos. Bye-bye. The thread follows the needle. The thread follows the needle. To and fro the needle must go. The thread follows the needle.